Do you believe you truly understand the Strait of Hormuz? For most of the world, it exists as a narrow line on a map. A tense geopolitical corridor, a strategic choke point through which a significant portion of the world's oil supply passes each day. It is discussed in the language of conflict, risk, and global dependency. News headlines reduce it to a symbol of instability, a place defined by what might go wrong. But this version, repeated often enough, becomes accepted as the whole truth. What it fails to reveal is that beyond this simplified narrative lies a world of extraordinary complexity. One shaped not only by geopolitics, but by geology, ecology, culture, and centuries of human adaptation. Because the real question is not why the Strait matters today. The real question is, how did this place become what it is? How did a small, mineral-rich island where summer temperatures push the limits of human endurance, where fresh water is scarce, and where the land itself appears almost alien, become a focal point of empires, explorers, and global trade routes for centuries. Why did figures like Marco Polo and Afonso de Albuquerque risk long, uncertain voyages to reach it? And why, even now, does it continue to hold such disproportionate significance in the structure of the modern world? To understand Hormuz, you have to look beyond the headlines. At first glance, Hormuz Island appears almost unreal. Its landscape defies expectation. Mountains rise not in muted tones of brown or gray, but in vivid bands of red, yellow, white, and violet. Colors shaped by iron oxide, sulfur, and salt, deposits compressed and transformed over millions of years. The terrain looks less like Earth and more like an abstract painting brought to life. In some areas, the soil itself bleeds red into the sea, carried by wind and water into the deep blue of the Persian Gulf. In others, salt formations emerge from the ground in jagged crystalline structures, reflecting sunlight with an intensity that makes the landscape shimmer. This is not a place softened by vegetation or moderated by climate. It is raw, exposed, and unapologetically extreme, and yet it is alive. From a biological perspective, the Persian Gulf presents conditions that should, by conventional scientific understanding, limit life. Summer water temperatures often exceed levels that coral reef systems in most parts of the world cannot survive. In such environments, corals typically undergo bleaching, a process in which they expel the symbiotic algae that provide them with both color and nutrients, often leading to their death. And yet, around Hormuz Island and its neighboring archipelagos, coral reefs persist. Not only do they survive, but they thrive in ways that challenge established assumptions about ecological limits. Over thousands of years, these coral systems have adapted to the Gulf's extreme thermal conditions. Through repeated exposure to heat cycles that would eliminate less resilient organisms, they have developed a remarkable tolerance, an evolutionary response that is both rare and scientifically significant. For marine biologists, these reefs are not just ecosystems, they are living laboratories. They contain, encoded within their biological structure, insights into how life might endure in warming oceans across the planet. They represent one of the clearest examples of adaptive resilience in modern marine science, but their survival is not guaranteed. Because the threats they now face, oil contamination from tanker traffic, industrial runoff, and increasing human activity, are pressures that evolution cannot easily counter. What took thousands of years to develop can be disrupted in decades, and when systems like these fail, they do not simply disappear, they take entire networks of life with them. Along the southern coast of Qeshm Island, another system operates with equal importance, though far less visibility. The Hara Forest, an expansive mangrove ecosystem, extends across tidal channels and mudflats, forming a dense and intricate network of life at the boundary between land and sea. These mangrove trees, primarily Avicennia marina, have evolved a solution to one of nature's most fundamental challenges: how to survive in saltwater. Through specialized root systems, they filter salt from seawater, expelling excess salinity through their leaves in the form of visible crystals. This allows them to exist in conditions that would be lethal to most plant life. From above, the forest appears as a dark green labyrinth pressed against the blue edge of the Gulf. From within, it feels enclosed, almost silent, interrupted only by the movement of water and the calls of migratory birds passing through on journeys that span continents. But for local communities, this is not simply a natural wonder, it is infrastructure. The Hara forest functions as a biological nursery, supporting fish and shrimp populations that sustain coastal economies. It creates the conditions necessary for marine life to reproduce and mature before moving into deeper waters. For generations, fishermen have understood this relationship intuitively. Their harvesting practices are aligned with the rhythms of the ecosystem, taking what is needed while allowing the system to regenerate. But like the coral reefs, the mangroves are increasingly under pressure. Oil pollution, rising sea temperatures, and environmental disruption threaten to destabilize a system that countless lives depend on. And when such systems fail, the consequences are immediate. Food supplies diminish, livelihoods collapse. The loss is not abstract, it is personal. Rising from the waters of the Persian Gulf, Hormuz Island occupies a position that is both geographically small and globally significant. At its narrowest point, the Strait of Hormuz is only a few dozen kilometers wide. Through this confined passage flows a substantial portion of the world's oil supply, transported daily by massive tankers navigating carefully defined shipping lanes. This creates a striking juxtaposition. Above the water, a landscape shaped over millions of years, its geological history visible in every layer of rock. Below and around it, a constant movement of vessels representing the infrastructure of modern civilization. For the people who live here, this dual reality is not extraordinary. It is simply the environment they inhabit. The same mineral-rich soil that gives the island its color is used in local traditions and cuisine. The same waters that carry global trade are navigated daily by fishermen who rely on inherited knowledge rather than digital systems. In this way, Hormuz exists at the intersection of two vastly different scales. One is intimate, local, and deeply human. The other is global, abstract, and economic. Both coexist within the same narrow space, rarely acknowledging each other, yet entirely dependent on the same geography. Life in this region is shaped above all by heat. On Qeshm Island, summer temperatures regularly exceed levels that make prolonged outdoor activity dangerous. Humidity from the Gulf intensifies the effect, creating an environment that feels almost uninhabitable during certain hours of the day. But human communities have adapted. Daily life is structured not around the clock, but around the climate. Work begins before sunrise, when temperatures are momentarily bearable. Activity slows and often stops during the peak heat of the afternoon, and as evening approaches, life resumes with renewed intensity. Architecture reflects this adaptation. Traditional homes are built with thick walls that provide thermal insulation. Wind towers, ingenious structures designed centuries ago, capture and direct cooler air into living spaces, reducing indoor temperatures without the need for electricity. These systems are not relics of the past. They are highly efficient solutions developed through generations of trial, error, and refinement. In a world increasingly reliant on energy-intensive cooling systems, they represent an alternative approach, one rooted in understanding the environment rather than resisting it. Cultural practices in Hormuz are equally shaped by the intersection of environment and history. Clothing, for example, serves both functional and symbolic purposes. Women's garments are often vibrant and richly embroidered, reflecting regional identities and cultural expression. In contrast to the starkness of the surrounding landscape, these colors create a visual language of resilience and individuality. The traditional face covering, known locally as the borage, originated as a practical solution to environmental exposure. Designed to protect against intense sunlight and glare from the water, it shields the most sensitive areas of the face. Over time, it evolved into a marker of identity, its design and construction conveying information about the wearer's background, status, and community. What begins as necessity becomes tradition. What begins as protection becomes meaning. Further along the strait, in the isolated village of Qumzar, another form of cultural evolution has taken place. Here, a unique language has developed, one that exists nowhere else in the world.
The distant waves roll in, one after another, unhurried. I just sit with you, watching the sea, seeing the sunlight gradually spread across the water. Those moments of wanting to get close yet hesitating are gently wrapped in music.
Qumzari is a linguistic blend, incorporating elements of Persian, Arabic, Portuguese, Hindi, and other languages introduced through centuries of trade and contact. It reflects the strait's history as a corridor through which countless cultures have passed. In many ways, it is a living archive.
Every guitar pluck and every soft hum in the music seem like gentle sitar and tentative pride towards someone's heart. The encounter between people is beautiful. Its beauty lies not in the intensity.
Each word carries traces of interactions that span generations, preserved not in written records but in everyday speech. But like many such traditions, it faces an uncertain future. As younger generations move away in search of education and opportunity, the conditions that once preserved this linguistic uniqueness begin to erode. And when a language disappears, it takes with it an entire way of seeing the world.
Meant only to accompany you in sitting silently together at dusk one day. Silent companionship always makes one's eyes shine with light. This issue's music is a special feature on
The Strait of Hormuz, by most conventional measures, is an unlikely place for sustained human life. Its climate is extreme, its resources are limited, its geopolitical significance places it under constant pressure. And yet it supports ecosystems of remarkable resilience, communities of deep knowledge, and cultural systems shaped by centuries of adaptation. These are not accidents, they are outcomes, products of long-term interaction between people and environment. As the world moves into a future defined increasingly by uncertainty, rising temperatures, resource constraints, and shifting economic systems, places like Hormuz begin to take on new meaning. They are no longer outliers, they are indicators. They show what is possible when survival depends not on abundance but on understanding. They demonstrate how systems, both natural and human, can adapt, persist, and even thrive under conditions that appear, at first glance, unsustainable. The people of Hormuz did not wait for crisis to learn resilience. They have lived within it for generations. Their knowledge is not theoretical, it is practical, tested daily against the realities of their environment. And perhaps that is the most important lesson this place offers, not a solution, but a perspective. Because the question Hormuz raises is not just about geography or history or even survival, it is about attention. Are we paying attention to the systems that sustain us? Do we understand the environments we depend on? And when conditions change, as they inevitably will, are we prepared to adapt? This is not a story confined to a single strait. Across the world, there are places shaped by similar forces, places where stability was never guaranteed, where survival required innovation, and where communities learn to exist within limits rather than exceed them. Hormuz is one of those places, but it may also be something more. Not an exception, not an anomaly, but a preview. A glimpse into a future where the conditions long experienced here become increasingly common elsewhere, and where the knowledge developed in places like this becomes not just valuable, but essential.